Hello and welcome to another edition of Comics and Pop. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon and Carlos Idarraga. And today we're going to take a little veer off to the side a little. We're not doing a big comic book movie or guess, but we are going to be talking about Day Shift, a vampire movie out now on Netflix with Jamie Foxx, Snoop Dogg, and Dave Franco. It came out this past weekend. And let's get our thoughts before I say what I think. And last time we saw it with Troy, Carlos, we coerced you into watching it because we had watched it first. So let's get your thoughts.
I mean, you guys haven't watched Game of Thrones, bro. I mean, how can we even have... All right, so let's get into this movie first, right?
So we want to start on the B movie.
Right, so the next podcast we're going to do is the Game of Thrones because my two partners are going to be, binge watching Game of Thrones over the weekend and stuff. But let's see. So this movie, Day Shift, it was fun. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. You know, it wasn't great. Obviously, you know, we'll nitpick at it and like little things, you know, that were a little crazy and stuff. One of the things that I thought about it when I finished watching it is I would have liked it more if it would have been like a series, like maybe like a 6-episode series or something, because there's a lot of stuff that they delved into that they never really talked about, right? So basically, you know, Jamie Foxx is he's a vampire hunter, right? And he's, you know, been banned from the union of vampire hunters, you know, this worldwide union, you know, so you can have your union card. And I guess, you know, what they do is when they kill the vampires, they take their teeth and then they can sell them, you know, and they get money. And that's how they make their money, by selling the teeth of the vampires that they've killed, right? You know, he's a guy who's not on his slug. He's a maverick, whatever. So he got kicked out of the union following the rules, because I guess, you know, there's rules to killing vampires or whatever, right? But to me, it would have been like, you know, you can like really go into explaining how the union and everything about it, you know, how it came about, you know, all the characters that were in it, you know, you can really develop a really cool series from this instead of just making it into a movie.
Who knows?
That was my first idea. And I mean, or they're probably gonna make a part 2 because they kept talking about this El Jefe freaking vampire. Yeah. Wait, never appeared in the whole thing. The most powerful vampire, never showed him. No, they just mentioned him once or twice. That was it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, they could have. I think that if they would have made it into a series, you know, it would have been a lot more enjoyable than they just, you know, they kind of like Justice League, like the first Justice League, right? They took it, you know, for this, I would have liked to see the Snyder cut of this, right? The long version instead of the Justice League version. But I mean, overall, it was a fun movie, right? I mean, I'll go into some things that I thought were a little bit ridiculous after you guys thought, but overall, I mean, it was a fun movie. I recommend it. You know, it's, if you got nothing to do and, you know, just flipping around and you want to watch something, you know,
what a recommendation. If you guys have nothing better to do, see Game of Thrones. Yes.
Right, yeah, exactly. You know, like, you know, I know you guys already watched Game of Thrones. I mean, if you want to watch like another episode of Game of Thrones just to refresh yourself, I understand. But if not, bang this movie out.
Troy, initial thoughts.
I think this movie was better than it had any right to be. It had Franco, it had Snoop, it had Fox, but even with that cast, the premise should have sucked. But it takes a fresh look at the vampire hunter. I mean, we've got Van Helsing, we've got Blade, we've got Hellboy, we've got the Winchesters, we've got all these people that go out there and hunt vampires. But it was a business, you know. They do this for a living. It wasn't like sneaking through a creepy house, and you know you're thinking, oh, somebody's going to kill the guy that's killing the vampires, so the world's going to be run over. There's another dude if he dies. They've got people in London that are killing vampires. They're all over the place. It's a business. What I didn't understand, and like Carlos said, they didn't really get into the lore of it. Why are they collecting teeth? You know, who put the value on that? When I was a younger man, I was a jewelry store manager, and there was the way that you could tell if a diamond was worth anything was its 4 C's. It was the color, the clarity, the carat weight, and the cut. You got the 4 C's. You can look at a diamond, look for these individual things, and you can determine the value of a diamond. He kind of did that. The guy who had my name and got murdered Troy was in there and he was like looking at the teeth and he was telling, oh, it's an old, she's maybe 90 years old. And I'm thinking, okay, well, how do you know that? They didn't really say anything about that. And even if it wasn't old, are people using it for medicine? Do they use the vampire's teeth to keep werewolves away? They never really explained it. So I was curious about that. It pulled me in and then it stopped. It's like, hey, guess what? What? Nothing. It wouldn't tell me what was going on. It would draw me in and then it would say, never mind. You know, Snoop Dogg is walking around with this great big chain gun and he's blasting away at everything. And I'm thinking, okay, those are bigger. Those are 50 millimeter rounds. He's shooting right through these things, through the wall, across the street, through a bus, and into the library. What's happening with all these things like that? Make me wonder. I'm thinking he's killing these vampires, but he's also killing everybody down the street. Is that legal? Are they allowed to do that? They even talked about the legality of some of the stuff that they were doing. They had so much lore that they could give us, and they didn't. And that was a little bit of a turnoff. I enjoyed it though. It had a little bit of comedy. They sprinkled a little bit of horror on there. I like how all of the vampires were acrobats, and they all for some reason knew karate and they could backflip and stuff. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, it was a new look at vampires, so I thought that was fun.
yeah. And they had like, what is it, 5 different types of vampires? But there should be a 6th type because they never mention a vampire that gets bit and could get up and just be his normal self again. Because the guy, the guy from the commission gets bit, and he doesn't go like, I'm going to kill you and drink your blood. I need to eat a cat or whatever these other guys was doing. He got up. He said, "Oh, my neck hurts so bad. I want to get those guys. They tortured me." I'm like, he's just a regular dude now. So is that a 6th vampire or some of the other? There was so much stuff they didn't explain. Still a good movie, I thought. Not a great one, but still a good movie. They left a lot on the table, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I thought this was fun. I mean, Troy and I discussed this before, and we pushed Carlos into watching it. But I thought it was fun. I did think it was fun. I love Jamie Foxx. I like Dave Franco a lot. So it was a fun cast. I also felt like like you guys just said, there was a lot that was not explained. Just let's gloss over it. Let's just get back to the vampire hunting. No, that's just pot. We don't need to discuss that. Don't worry about it. Just watch the vampires being killed. So it was fun. It's definitely a fun movie. I did have questions. I don't know if we should talk about some of the stuff now. I did not love the ending, just because the rules, kind of the things that you talked about now. The story, we'll just make this up as we get along. I think at some point they ran out of, or they forgot what this do, or they couldn't tie the plot lines together. So they said, "Oh, we'll just make it up. Just don't worry about it. Just film it." Because all the things that we've been shown through the movie have not carried through to the end. And I thought Dave Franco's head comes off, and then he's just going around putting it back on. I thought that was ridiculous. I thought it was funny, but it was just ridiculous based on all the things that have happened. What happens to him? We did not get the rules. If we, like in the other vampire movies, if you kill the vampire that bit the people, do they come back human again? Right. We never got that explanation. And I fully expected Snoop to live. I knew he was living at the end. I thought it was ridiculous that he lived because, I mean, my man's strapped with all these bombs on him. And so, so the thing that I expected at the end, I mean, I knew he was living, but at the end, I was expecting him to show that he's a vampire too, like a Blade type thing, so that he's hunting other vampires, that makes him immortal. So he knew he would survive that. So I didn't get that. Maybe they will address it in the future. So yeah, I thought it was fun. I definitely think it's worth watching. Shut off your brain for a couple of hours and just go ahead and watch this. Don't think too much about the plot because you'll be disappointed. But yeah, for a good couple of hours. So it's just fun. So let's go into some of the things that you did love or hated in it. So back to you, Carlos.
So if I was to say like the Battle of the Bastards, you guys would have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. That's just crazy to me. But back to this movie, right? To me, it was I mean, obviously, anything having to do with vampires and stuff, and and sci-fi, we already know it's unrealistic, right? So we have to, deal with the parameters that we're dealt with, that been given when it comes to vampire movies, as far as how realistic and nerdy we want it to be, right? So, one of the things that kind of like bothered me was how I mean, I guess it kind of bothers me, all the vampire movies, right? Is that usually, when somebody becomes a vampire, they get like basically superhuman strength, and they're fast and strong, and
like bison muscle.
Right, exactly. When Jamie Foxx was fighting, the girl, like he picked him up and threw him across the room like a rag doll, right? Because he's a human, he doesn't have that kind of strength, right? And but you have like these three guys, when they went into the house, when it was Jamie Foxx, Franco, and the two vampire hunter guys, right? Yeah. They went into a lair of vampires with like freaking, there was like 50 vampires in there, and they just pretty much manhandled them like they were nothing, right?
The thing, John Wick for vampire hunt.
Right. But and then you saw Franco, he was like, he was fighting one the whole time, and he kept peeing himself, and he was scared shitless, and he couldn't beat the girl vampire, whatever. The whole time he was just fighting that one, whatever, and he almost died, right? Mm-hmm. He gets bit by a vampire, and now suddenly he's freaking Superman. Yeah. He's freaking. He knows how to do karate. He knows how to do. He's out there. He's killing vampires like they're going out of freaking style, right? So as soon as he became a vampire, he became like a super vampire, whatever, right? But all the ones that they're fighting, they're just like loser vampires or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like Blade, I understand, because Blade is a vampire as well, so he's got superpowers. So when he's fighting vampires. He's using his skill, but he also has vampire powers. He has the super strength, and he has everything else. So whenever you see in movies, like in the history of movies, whenever you see a human who's a vampire killer, what do? They go in at night when they're during the day when they're sleeping. They open up the coffin while they're sleeping, and they stab them in the heart, whatever, because they don't want to fight them. They don't want to see them when they're awake, because there's a good chance that they're gonna die, because these vampires are a lot stronger, and you see these humans, whatever, they're going in there and they're doing karate, and they're going crazy on like a million vampires and stuff. So that to me is always a little unrealistic, so it kind of like, but I mean, but I take it also with the sense that it's obviously he's he's the hero, and he's not going to die, right? So, but I hate it when they're inconsistent like that. When they're now Franco was a human and he was a punk. Now he's a vampire and he's a super vampire. Yeah. But all the other vampires that were turned, they were all punks when the humans are fighting them. So it's like except for the one or two who are the main characters and stuff. Those are the tough ones to be, like the girl, she was flying everywhere, blah, 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 and so it's like, that always is like, make it more realistic, okay, fine, make them go in there, but make them fight, like when the movie first started, he goes into the house and he fights he kills the old lady who's that lady's daughter or whatever, right? But it's just him against her. That's okay, fine. He's got power, he's got weapons and stuff, and it made it a little bit realistic. But but if it's him and you got 10 vampires coming at you and you're human, you're gonna die. You're gonna die, bro. It's like I always kind of like say it's like not to get political, but when people say, oh, they're trying to take my guns away, blah blah blah, right? And then let them try to come take my guns, right? Unless you're like unless you're you are an ex Navy SEAL or something, if the FBI shows up at your front door, I don't care how many guns you have in your house, you're either gonna die or you're gonna give up your guns, right? So it's like the same thing with these movies. I don't care how strong or whatever you are. If you're human, if 5 vampires show up at your house, they're gonna kill you. It's just the law of life.
Let's say someone came to take your Marvel Legends away. Wouldn't you defend that? Huh?
It depends on who it is. If somebody shows up to take my Marvel Legends, and they have a better collection of Marvel Legends, I might be awed by the Marvel Legends and have to bow down. I don't know.
You're taking my Hulk 181? I don't think you are.
Exactly.
Not today.
But
So I think you said that you could see sequels. When I saw it, I saw a video game because, like Carlos was saying, they're fighting these guys, and everybody all of a sudden turns into Star Trek red shirts and Star Wars stormtroopers. You're the good guy. Every time you shoot, you're going to hit one of them. Every time they shoot, they're going to miss you by just a few inches.
they're
Just a few
stormtroopers from Star Wars.
stormtroopers. So they're red shirts. All of a sudden, all the vampires are Star Trek red shirts, and they can go through and wipe them all out. And he gets shot. Franco gets shot, and he's like, "Oh, they shot me. What am I going to do?" He was still a punk at that time, and the girl's like, "No, get up. You're okay." And he just got up and became a superhero. You know, I think it's like a video game. You got to work your way through the fodder so that you can get to the boss level. You know, you got to get to the end. You got to jump over all that stuff. You're Mario. You got to bang your head on the roof. You got to get to the end, and then you got to fight. Was it King Kubla or whatever his name is? You got to get to the end. You got to fight that chick, and you got to get through her minion first, and then you get to the end. It looked like a video game to me, and I was like, why? Just like you said, why are all of the vampires? There's like 1,000 vampires, and a regular vampire movie. You know, Peter Cushing would fight against Bela Lugosi, and it would just be like 2 or 3 good guys, and then Bela Lugosi would be like slapping people all over the place, and then finally they'd come back during, like you said, during the day, and they'd get it because they're like, no, we don't want that smoke. We better get this dude when he can't move. But here, there's 40 vampires on the end level, and they're just shooting them and beating them and ninja chopping them. And she's got a samurai sword, and they never mentioned that she was a samurai before, but she's like slicing through 6 of them, and I'm like, come on, what is? It was. You had to suspend belief, which I get. It's a movie, suspend belief, but they didn't put them on the same level. I get that. The thing about Snoop though, coming out of that thing, it was a trope. That was Vamp back with Grace Jones when she bit those kids, and the guy was in the tunnel.
I forgot about
and
Vamp.
The guy comes out, you know, and he's like, "Hey, just follow us." I was like, "That's Vamp." And then when he gets out, he does Lost Boys because he does the grandfather thing.
Yeah,
He's like,
yep.
you know, one thing I hate is all these dang vampires. So I'm like, they littered a lot of tropes in there. So they bowed their hat to a lot of vampire movies that came before him. So I kind of was okay with all of the crap. I've only got 8% on my thing. I think it's going to cut off on me. I'm okay with all that stuff. I just want to say it because if my thing just suddenly goes,
Why don't you charge it, Troy?
My kid was playing on it. I didn't know he was drawing on it all day when he got home. So when I took it, it had like, when I got on here, it had like 20%. So I'm down, it's beeping at me now. But so I liked it. I liked the movie. There were things that after seeing it, I would have tried to improve on, but it was fairly solid, I guess.
I'll say when the very first scene, when that old lady won, I was like, "Oh man, this is good." I love seeing that old lady like be the vampire, like attack him. I thought that was fun. So I was like, "Well, in, yeah." I'm like with you guys. I've mentioned before, I don't love horror movies. I love horror comedy movies, and I do love me some horror comedy vampire movies. Was it in the same, realm as Fright Night or Lost Boys? No, but it was that step beneath it. So, so I could live with that. Yeah, it was fun. If a sequel comes out, which I'm anticipating there'll be a sequel, I'll watch it. Yeah, I was all into it. Like I said, I love the cast. I love Jamie Foxx. I love Dave Franco. So it was fun. And I'm fully expecting Snoop to be a vampire, being introduced as a vampire next movie. So it was fun. But yeah, it was. I definitely recommend people go see it. And since Troy is ready to cut on out, I'll try to take it to you. So what do you guys give this? What do you guys give this on your scale of 1 to 10? Don't jump in.
Try.
I would give it. It was fun. It was suspend belief, grab some popcorn, and let your mind be free. Kind of fun. So with that in mind, not looking for a great script, I would say 7.
Carlos?
I don't think my life would have been any different if I had watched it or not watched it. You know, it wasn't hard.
Well, that's the same with any movie.
It was enjoyable, right?
Mhm.
It was an enjoyable movie. If I have to give it a grade, I don't know, like maybe a 6 or something, you know, because of all the things that I think that they kind of rushed, right? And they could have done better. You know, if they really wanted to make it like I said, to me, if they would have made it a series, I would have probably enjoyed it more.
It probably would have been better. I agree with you.
Because it could have been, you know, they could have delved deeper into a lot of the things. You know, we could have found out more about the union. You know, they said they're all over the world. We could have had a couple of episodes just about the union. We could have had an episode about introducing freaking El Jefe, whoever this El Jefe is. You know, more about explaining about, you know, the different levels of vampires. They were like, there's 5 levels of vampires. Blah 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 blah. Okay, boom. Next, you know, you're like,
Well, I expect Carol. I expect Carol to be a big bad too.
Yeah, you almost got to pause it and stuff to find out, you know, to see what they're talking about. So I think if they would have done it as a series, I would have enjoyed it more, probably watching it. But as you know, it was a 6. It was okay.
I think I'm right in between you guys. I think for storyline and plot, I would have graded it lower. Like, you know, a lot of stuff that could have been better. I'm raising it probably. I'm giving it a 7 because you know, I think Jamie Foxx carries this. I think Jamie Foxx pulls this off, and you know, look, he's a fun lead in any movie, and I thought it'd be fun being in a vampire movie, seeing him like that. So I'm giving it a 7 also with this. So
yeah, no, I like Jamie Foxx. I'm a Jamie Foxx fan. He's you know, he made, like, you know, he was good in the movie. I mean, Snoop Dogg was good in the movie. You know, I love Franco, the Franco kid, the little brother. What's his name?
I like him too.
Yeah, he's been in some good stuff.
Mhm.
So I enjoy him. You know, he's a pretty good actor.
He's always playing the same type of role to me, though.
Right, but he plays it really well.
Yes,
he plays it really well. You know, so I enjoy him and stuff. So I mean, like the actors, like I said, they had good actors, right?
Mhm.
I just think that they could have, you know, if they wouldn't have rushed it and you know, not try to like push everything into it, it could have been better.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Let us know if you liked it, didn't like it. Looking forward to a sequel, what you thought. And we're racing Troy's battery life. So, so again, this has been.
This is a high quality podcast, baby.
And tune in next week to see if we discuss Game of Thrones. This is the Comics and Pop. I'm Jonathan, along with Troy and Carlos. And thanks for watching. And please subscribe.
Subscribe.